Exciting release from Christopher Ward today. They've done an Act 2 for the bel canto. Robert, tell me your initial reaction when you see these 4 new colors. Do you think this is a good move from the brand?
So somebody who's taken a fair amount of heat from the comments section in the videos, I'm not generally a fan of what they do. I think they're fine, but it's just a bowl, a big old bowl of vanilla ice cream, the majority of their lineup.
Okay.
Okay. This bel canto is absolutely delicious. This is unbelievable release.
So I know you and I both enjoyed the previous model, the standard bel canto.
Yep.
But this update, this takes it to another level for us. And like I look at the previous version and I look at this new release that was debuted today, and the previous version feels very at home in the Christopher Ward lineup. You see similar design elements to what you find on, say, the 12 with the applied markers or the handset. Doesn't look that different from, say, a Trident handset. But this new Act 2 really goes upscale with that guilloche, with the Roman numerals, with the blued elements, and it doesn't necessarily feel like a Christopher Ward. Would you agree with that?
Wholeheartedly, yeah. It kind of dabbles in the Breguet look-alike, you know, like,
yeah, like a tradition.
Yes, exactly. Like if you were looking at this, you would say, hold on a second, is that Breguet? Is that a Moser? What is that? Like it really does elevate, and it sounds crazy that maybe a little bit of texturing and some Roman numerals transforms the watch, but it really does.
It really does.
It really takes what is already a really amazing watch and takes it to that next level.
It looks more sophisticated. It looks more refined.
Yes.
I will say the bracelet, I don't know if they're quite there on the bracelet style yet. It kind of just looks like they took an existing design and put it on the bel canto, which makes sense from a cost standpoint. But when you have a showpiece like the bel canto, you almost want Christopher Ward to go the extra mile and develop something special for this specific model.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
So I can't do a Christopher Ward video without getting some sort of, you know, contentious statement in here.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so
you are more critical of the brand than the average watch collector.
Yes.
And I think that's actually a good thing.
So the bracelet, to me, this is again my opinion.
Sure.
The bracelet is completely out of place. This tells me that somebody who's wearing this on the bracelet is a Christopher Ward owner and not a Breguet and not a Moser or whatever owner. Not MB&F, none of those would offer their pieces on a bracelet, let alone a clunky, like oyster kind of weird style.
A bracelet you could find on one of their divers, right?
It makes no sense to me. This watch has no business being on a bracelet. And again, when I see that, I go, there we go. That's the Christopher Ward in it right there. It makes no sense to me. They should showcase that watch, that case, that dial, that everything, because it is a unique piece. Why are you taking it away with adding all that extra metal and all that other ways that you can distract your eyes?
Well, as a bracelet fan, I'm always for a good bracelet, but it's got to be a good bracelet.
To me, again, it makes absolutely no sense to me. Get rid of it.
So that makes me think of another question, Robert. I know this watch is, or at least the original bel canto, and I assume this Act 2 is going to do really well for this brand.
Insanely well.
And it should, right? It deserves to have some flowers given to it, right? It's
all the flowers.
Yeah. But do you think that the people that are buying into the bel canto, are they more of the type of watch collector who has already had multiple luxury watches? They buy Omega, they buy Breitling, they buy Rolex. They've spent $7,000 on one watch before, and they look at the bel canto and they go, wow, you know, in the 4,000s, low 4,000s, for that's a steal. Let me place my order and wait however long it takes to get, you know, the production. Like, sorry, I went about this the wrong way. Is the bel canto a first-time Christopher Ward purchase, or is it somebody who's already had the brand at least a few times before they buy something?
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. If you phrase it like that, it's totally a multi-purchase a multi-Christopher Ward purchase. You're not going to get somebody that's buying a Breguet and then goes, wait a second, that's kind of cool. Now, there are those out there. Let's let the record show. Yes, somebody might be like, instead of the 20 grand for the Breguet, I can pay $4,500 and get this. Yes, there are those kind of people out there, but the vast majority of those kind of people aren't even thinking about Christopher Ward, unless maybe they're following the GPHG, some things like that. Yeah. But I think what you've said is probably correct as far as they've owned a Trident, they've owned a 12 or something,
Sealander,
and they've realized like these are really good watches. They're well put together. It's got a bulletproof, Salida SW underneath and whatever. Like that's great.
Yeah.
And now I really want to kind of like stretch my legs.
Interesting complications.
Yes.
And lovely details.
Yep.
I'm going to the next level with the brand.
Exactly. I could get something. They're still getting kind of that value look at, if you will, where they go for $4,500. I can get essentially the only thing under 5 digits that's got this feature to it, this complication.
Sure.
Or I can go get an Omega Seamaster 300.
Right.
And it's like
I was going to ask.
And so you're like, what do I do here? Do I get something unique and cool and fun and classy and all these adjectives? Or do I get something that's amazing and has history, but is kind of boring and not, everybody else has it.
Yeah,
it's not a conversation starter.
Instead of buying, say, a Pelagos from Tudor with an in-house movement, you're now being tempted with something that is unlike anything on the market.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from a traditional luxury brand, but there's no denying that the product, it's a special product.
It's ridiculously special.
I'm kind of curious, like, when someone has that budget of say $4,000, how many go for something like this rather than the more traditional, predictable Pelagos or used Speedy or whatever the case may be?
I mean, that's actually a really good question for the comments section as far as if you had $4,500, are you doing a used Speedy? Are you doing a Seamaster 300 or whatever? I mean, you can even get into some like neo-vintage Explorers nowadays, right around that 45 to 5 range. So like, are you going those kind of pieces, or are you going to splurge and get yourself a Christopher Ward?
Right. And let's end with this, Robert. I guess we've just been talking more about some of the things surrounding the model, but it looks to be the same size, same material, same movement, same water resistance, but an infinitely more interesting, more intricate dial. And then the Roman numerals, giving it a more sophisticated look, which it looks like we agree suits the model so nicely. So
outside the bracelet.
Outside the bracelet. So yeah, well done. What would you, out of 10, give Christopher Ward for this specific Act 2?
I'd give it a 10.
Would you?
It is. It really, like you've talked about, it classes it up and it shows a level of maturity that the product line is progressing, that they're not just going, oh, well, let's just give a pink dial or let's give a yellow dial. No, they're adding the texture. How can we
improve it?
Yes, they're adding it. They're trying to get different looks. Maybe you want a sportier look, Bel Canto, so you don't go with the Romans. You go with a first gen or something. Like I feel like they're trying to attack it from multiple different angles, as they should.
Yeah, that's good. I'd also give it top marks. I think this is an example of Christopher Ward doing something really well. And I think it's going to be received as such amongst watch collectors.
For sure.